Stewart. Welcome to Mind, Body, Soul, a heart health journey. I am super excited to introduce my guest today. She is a longtime friend. We've known each other for a really long time. We've actually got acquainted through a different queen process from way back in the day, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But I'm super excited to introduce to you Carrie Moss. Carrie, thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to start off our little conversation and by introducing yourself. I know you're in a transition right now in life, so tell me about what you used to do and what you're doing now.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. And as Sherry said, my name is Carrie Moss, and I am actually a credentialed minister with the Assemblies of God. So for the past 16 years, I've worked in full-time children's ministries. For the past 8, I've actually been a full-time children's pastor on staff in a church setting. This past year, I've had some major transitions. I lost my mom, whom I was very close to. She was the matriarch of our family. She always jumped in to help wherever she needed. She babysat all of my kids and my grandsons. So I decided to return back to teaching elementary school so I could have the same days off as my grandson. So when they're home, for example, during this whole pandemic thing, I was able to be home with them, and now I'm home for the summer, and I'll go back to teaching in the fall. But since it had been so long, I had to update my certification. So after 21 years, I had to return to a college campus. That was a little intimidating, but it's been a very positive experience, and I'm really excited because now I'm like halfway through with my master's degree, and I am home all summer, and I'm just really excited for what the future holds.
Yes, that's awesome. So you and I met many moons ago in the rodeo queen world, and here we are again, joined together back into the pageant world again. I'm excited to be a part of your journey. And it's really awesome how he brings things full circle and how we always connect in different areas. And my platform is heart health because of my husband's congestive heart failure diagnosis. So can you tell me a little bit where it's life is so unexpected and the journeys that he brings us on, but we always learn and can encourage others through our journey and help them learn so that we can touch others and maybe help them in their journey as well. Can you tell me a little bit about your heart health journey?
Yes. Well, it actually started about 20 years ago. It started with my uncle, my dad's brother. They were very close, and he died at 55 years of age from a massive heart attack. Wow. He was a gym rat. He ate tuna like every meal. So it was a complete shock, but he had a very high stress job. So I want to get back to that in a minute. At that point, our family rallied around the American Heart Association, and my parents actually raised the most money that year for the Oklahoma American Heart Association, the Oklahoma chapter, and won a free trip to Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
So fast forward a few years, my dad and my son, who was only 6 years old at the time, were at his place, and they were back in the back messing with the tractor and the horses and stuff, and my dad started having chest pains. And because of what they had learned through the American Heart Association, becoming involved when we lost my uncle, my dad knew he needed aspirin. So he sent my 6-year-old son running from the very back pasture all the way to the house and to tell my mom, Papa needs you and he needs aspirin. Come quick. So she grabbed aspirin. She went, and my dad took it, called the ambulance, and the cardiologist said that saved my dad's life.
Yes.
So at that point, my dad completely changed his habits, his eating, his exercise. He lost about 50 pounds at that point, and he's kept it off ever since. My son is 21 now, so he's been steady on this journey for the past, 16 years. So in 2013, my mom contracted MRSA in her bloodstream. We don't know where she got it. And at that time, it attacked her heart valve. So my mom was a heart valve transplant recipient. She ended up passing away last year in May, but we know that because of her team of cardiologists and the advances that they had made, we got, like 5.5 more years with her, and we're forever thankful for that. Yeah. So heart health has been a big priority for my family.
Yes. So going back to what you used to do in ministry, going through the different, because I know when we went through the situation with Chuck, it was just out of nowhere. It doesn't run in his family. So it was a huge surprise for us, for him to be diagnosed with that. But I know that there's a reason why we went on that journey for us. So for you, what did you do to draw peace, and how did you, outside of eating healthy and doing the exercising, what else do you think contributed to your mom being here another 5 years and made your journey a peaceful one?
It is all because of our relationship with the Lord. And I had mentioned my uncle passing away and having a very high stress job. Stress is such a huge factor in so many illnesses. It really wreaks havoc on our bodies. And even this past year, I think so many people have just felt that stress from the COVID-19, and now with the tensions across America, I think a lot of people are just feeling that stress. And even losing my mom last year, I just really had to make some decisions to lean in to the Lord. So that meant that I needed to stop watching the news. I used to be a news junkie, and even though the news had nothing to do with losing my mom, it was a source of stress. Watching it just caused all of my emotions to just start bubbling up. So I made the decision to put different apps on my phone, and I do check current events on a daily basis, but it's under my circumstances, when my mindset's ready, I'll go, and if I see something that looks like it's going to trigger a thought or an emotion, I just skip over that. Right. I definitely check the weather multiple times a day because, we are in Oklahoma, but it was very important for me to kind of take control over some of those external factors that were feeding into the frenzy I was feeling. And I think that's really important in this situation that so many people are probably feeling right now. We do not have to keep feeding ourselves the negativity, whether that's the news, whether it's Facebook, whether it's, social media, toxic friends. We can take time and step back from things. And then I just really used all that extra time I had from not watching the news to just really get into the Word. And for me, I needed to discover what God wanted to show me in this season and in this situation. And when you really lean in and press to find out God's heart, the peace that just washes over you is that peace that passes all understanding. And it's truly the strength that helps us to move forward in the most difficult of circumstances.
Yes. And I love that you brought up the job situation, because my husband was in the oil field for 25 years, and he had been sick, and then he had several different procedures, and he went back to the job, actually got promoted after after he went through the process of those procedures. and he just didn't feel right. And the stressors of that job, being a boss and with a big company, and just the daily stresses of that job, he just one day he just decided, he said, this job is going to kill me. I have to do something different. So after 25 years, he loved his job and he loved his employees and everyone that he worked with, but he stepped away from a career that he loved because he didn't think his life was worth that. He didn't want to sacrifice, years with his family to stick with a job that he loved. And so he stepped away. And just in the first few weeks of being away from the stress, he lost 10 pounds. He looked amazing. And now that he's been away from that job for about a year and a half now, he has lost probably over 30 to 40 pounds. He looks, super young again. He looks younger than me now. I mean, and which is so awesome. But it's hard to do. It's hard to step away from a job that you love, but your health is so much more important. And then on the ministry side of things, I think that the Lord really showed us a different lifestyle that he knew not only it was a lifestyle that we needed, it was a change that he knew that would bring about change around us, that we could influence the people around us and encourage them to make those decisions. And so it's not always black and white, I guess, when we make those decisions, but when you get to share your story with others, I always like to say talking it out is the first step of healing. And so talking about what we go through on a daily basis is huge, but the peace and the joy that God brings when you allow him to be a part of that journey is huge. We could not have done this without him, this whole heart health journey. And I'm so thankful. It was a scary time when he was diagnosed with that, but I'm so thankful that he has brought us to the place where we are now. And tell me a little bit about when you used to work with children, because I'm a teacher's aide, and so you and I have both had that opportunity to influence the younger ones. So on a daily basis, when you're working with others, with the children anyways, what are some ways that you could encourage the kids to make good lifestyle choices?
Well, whenever I'm working with kids, a big thing that I'm always telling, whether it was in a church setting or even whenever I was in graduate school, I was still going into the schools and working with kiddos, and even with my own grandsons, is that we want to build others up and not tear them down. I think that's just a very good life principle. Yeah. And I want to kind of go back to what you said about sharing your story and being transparent. Iron sharpens iron, and it tells us in the Bible that through the words of our testimony that, we will help others overcome. And I think that starts at such a young age, even if it's just teaching children that our words have power.
Yes.
And what we say, and life or death is in the tongue. I mean, that's what we know that the Bible says, but that is so true. That whole sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is the biggest lie on the face of the earth. I mean, we know that words are incredibly powerful. And so just even at a young age, teaching kiddos to build others up, to point out what we see in someone that we like, and not to use mean and harsh words. When we get in that mindset of encouraging others and building others up, that's another source of peace. It's funny how it works in the kingdom of God. When you pour out, he always fills you back up, and he's always faithful. So that's just one thing I know I did and I do with kids. And then just teaching them, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, just to spend that time talking to God. And prayer doesn't have to be this huge, big, long, and eloquent thing. It's just right. Talking to him like you and I are talking right now, telling him about our day, asking him to help us in areas that we maybe feel anxious or stressed, or maybe where we know we really messed up, and just establishing those habits. And then all of that in turn, I believe, sets our mind to make healthy choices in other areas.
Right. And I love that earlier you mentioned the social media thing. I love affirmations. I actually talked about that on another one of my videos for my vlog. Affirmations for me is huge, and I think it's really neat to have the opportunity to encourage our kids to learn those at a young age, because like you said, words have power, and you're feeding life into yourself when you're using those affirmations to encourage yourself, like I can instead of I can't, and I will, and I have purpose. And especially on the journey that we go on through life, the mind is so specific to our ages. So like, God, the way he made us is like, our brain only can comprehend so much along the way, so that it's not an overwhelming process. And so we always say, I wish I could go back and do this and know then what I know now. But if we can encourage our young people to start at a young age to speak life into ourselves, because the body reacts in such an amazing way when we do that. But we're never too old to learn new things either, and so if we can encourage our peers to do the same, especially with everything that we're going through right now in life, it's just loving on people. And I know that we talk about heart health, and yes, it's important to eat right and to exercise, but to remove the stressors just by how we live life in general, and that we can surround ourselves with people that are positive and feed into us. You know what I'm saying? That's why I love our relationship, because we've known each other for so long, and even we don't see each other for a really long time, it's like we just pick up right where we left off, which I love. But we're always there for each other, and helping each other to be better. And I love that about you. So before we get off of here, before we run out of time on our Zoom today, tell me a little bit about what the future holds. I know that you're going through school right now, and what grades are you looking to get a job in for the future?
Well, my certification is elementary, which is K through 8. But my master's program is going to be early childhood. I'm switching back. I was doing elementary, and now I'm going early childhood, because that pre-K through 3rd grade is such a tender age, and I just love that age in general. But to me, that is when we can really, really plant some seeds and cause like deep roots to grow. And it may not be something that I'm going to see like blossom,
Right.
But it's just planting the seed. I heard a pastor one time say, even when we lead someone to the Lord and we're that person that they finally say yes, and we have that privilege, well, it's probably because like 10 or 12 other people have been planting seeds and watering that seed along the way. And so as a teacher, especially in those younger grades, I want to plant lots of seeds that I know many others will water along their journey. But it may be something that whenever they're 18 or 19, that they remember, oh yeah, that teacher I had way back when, or that children's pastor said this, and it will all click and all make sense, and it will be like a life altering moment, or an epiphany is what I like to call them, but so that's the grades that I really love, and I'm hoping to teach either like 1st grade, 2nd grade. I mean, I like 3rd grade too. And I have nothing against 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Those kids are super, super fun too. And I think they're lots of seed and lots of fertile soil there as well. But I just have a special place in my heart for the little ones.
Yes, I agree, because I've been an aide for 1st grade, and I've been in 2nd grade. Right now I'm still in 2nd grade. I'm a little partial to the 2nd graders since I've been there a little bit longer, and they're a really neat group of kids, and I love that we have the opportunity to help mold them into beautiful humans for their future. And so I love what you do, and I'm so thankful that you have the heart that you do, so that you can encourage and inspire kids of all ages to go on and to do great things. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today, and for being a part of my journey in my life, because I couldn't do this without you. And you sure hold a special part, or you're right here, girl. You're a special part of my life, and I love you, and I sure respect what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Sherry. I love you too. And, and I just want to put it on film. I mean, that you and your sister were the first ones that came running when my mom fell ill again last year. And, you guys just held me up in prayer, and you both were texting me when she was in the hospital and messaging me. And then this past year, you have just helped me in my journey and in my healing process. And I love you too, girl. And I am so excited for everything that God has in store for you on this journey. And I know it's going to be exciting in July, and I can't wait.
Well, thank you so much. And it's been an honor to be, a part of your journey and to be there with you. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But I'm so thankful that you got to be a part of my vlog as well. And we get to continue. You might be on here again, to see about some other things that we have in store. But it's an honor to get to share our stories and to encourage others to live a heart-healthy lifestyle, not just by eating right and exercising, but taking care of our mindset and our spiritual health as well. So thank you all so much for checking out our vlog today. And I hope that you have a blessed day, and we'll see you next time.